Bonsoir et bienvenue. Alors, donc aujourd'hui, nous allons discuter le vocabulaire pour notre unité qui s'appelle Je m'occupe. Oui, ça c'est unité 3, Je m'occupe de moi. Et aujourd'hui, nous allons discuter la santé qui se trouve à la page 278 dans votre livre. Donc, il faut votre livre et aussi il vous faut votre photocopie. Before we get started, just be sure that you've downloaded from my webpage, right next to where this link was for the video, the vocabulary list for today's lesson, okay? And the vocabulary list is basically the words in English, and you're going to write the French words, and as we're going through the video today, you're going to be taking notes on that with the vocabulary list. If you can't print out the vocabulary list, well, then you just take a sheet of paper and you just write the French word and the English word. That's essentially what the vocabulary list has on it, okay? But be sure you're either taking notes or you have your vocabulary list to take notes. Okay, so we're in this chapter called Je m'occupe, right? I take care of myself, and we're talking about all the different ways we take care of ourselves in this chapter. And this unit will go through the end of the quarter. So it's a big unit on taking care of ourselves. And it starts off in the top of the vocabulary list with a few words from page 276. We actually have to go back to page 276 where we're talking about the body, le corps, and there are a couple of verbs that are useful when talking about the body, as far as when you're giving gymnastic instructions and things like that. So page 276, we have the verb lever, and lever means to lift or raise. So if somebody were to say lever le bras, you would lift your arm, lever. Or lever la tête, you would lift your head. Okay, so lever means to lift. Another verb you see on this page is plier, plier. Plier means to bend, as it says. So if somebody were to say plier les jambes, you would bend your knees. Or plier le bras, you would bend your arm. Of course, you can do it with an object. Plier can also mean to fold, so you can fold a piece of paper. Plier le papier. And if you're in ballet, for those of you who know ballet, you know what a plie is when you kind of bend your legs, and that's why they call it a plie. Okay, and then some other verbs that we have there are mettre, and we remember mettre from previous chapters, to put or place. So if somebody were to say, mettre votre bras sur la tête, you would put your arm on your head. Actually, that's what I said. Okay, so that's how the list begins, with just a couple of verbs from this page. Okay, then on your list it says page 276, and it has the body parts, and it says we copy this in class, so don't forget all the body parts on page 276 you have in your notes from class. All right, so let's get to today's new vocabulary. À la page 278, la santé. La santé means health. So these are all the expressions you use when you're asking somebody about how they're feeling. So we're going to practice these, and you can see right away that they're expressions you learn in French 1. So, ça va? How are you? Oui, ça va. I'm fine. And then a new expression, je suis en forme. En forme. So, je suis, means I am. And then after je suis, there's going to be several expressions we're going to learn. And the first one is en forme. In shape. Okay? Now, of course, you don't have to use je suis. You could use tu es. Tu es en forme? Are you in shape? Or we can switch it to nous sommes. Nous sommes en forme. We are in shape. Okay, so we just take a French 1 verb, put it with a new expression, and we can make many different sentences. Okay, je suis en forme. Je suis en bonne santé. En bonne santé. I'm in good health. Notice the accent aigu. Je suis en bonne santé. And then we have another expression, je me sens bien. Je me sens bien. And this is one of my favorite expressions because I think it just sounds fun. Je me sens bien. I feel fine. Je me sens bien. And then the next one is ça va mieux. Ça va mieux. Things are going better. If you've been sick for a while, or if you have had a broken leg, and somebody says ça va, and you say, oh, ça va mieux. Things are better. Ça va mieux. Okay, then on the other side, we have the negative expressions. So you could say, non, ça ne va pas. It's not well. Ça ne va pas. Je ne suis pas en forme. So by making this negative, nous ne sommes pas en forme, instead of saying we are in shape, you can say we are not in shape. Nous ne sommes pas en forme, just by adding the negative. Nous ne sommes pas en bonne santé. We are not in good health. And then we can make this negative. Je ne me sens pas bien. It's a long expression. It means I do not feel well. Je ne me sens pas bien. Try saying that a couple of times. Je ne me sens pas bien. And then when you say it all together, je ne me sens pas bien. Je ne me sens pas bien. So, je me sens bien, je ne me sens pas bien. Bon. Okay, the next set is about asking what's wrong. And so to ask somebody what's wrong, you have the expression qu'est-ce que tu as? Qu'est-ce que tu as? And that literally means what do you have, right? You see the word tu as, what do you have? But it also means what's wrong. And then you can answer with je suis malade. Je suis malade, I'm sick. Je suis fatigué, I'm tired. And you've had these words before. Now remember with fatigué, if you're a girl, you would add an e, oui. And both of these can be made plural. If you have a group of people and we are sick, nous sommes malades, for example. All right, and then the other two expressions, I have the flu and I have a cold. Instead of saying I am the flu, you're going to say I have the flu. J'ai la grippe. La grippe. And I think of this as being like it has the grip on you. It grips you. La grippe, the flu. Okay, and j'ai un rhume. I have a cold. J'ai un rhume. Okay, the next set of expressions is when you hurt somewhere. And first of all, to ask the question, where do you hurt? You would ask your friend, où est-ce que, we always want to use est-ce que for a question, tu as mal. That's the expression. Où est-ce que tu as mal? And then the answer is going to be j'ai mal. And then the first expression you see in your book is à la tête. J'ai mal à la tête. I have a headache. The next one, j'ai mal au ventre. I have a stomach ache. J'ai mal au dos. J'ai mal aux oreilles. Okay? So below that, they have the expression about how to use avoir mal, and we're going to talk about that next. So the next thing on your photocopy are two structures, and the structures that are important, page 278, first is the verb se sentir. This is a verb that's used in the sentence je me sens bien and je ne me sens pas bien. But this is an irregular verb, so I'm going to show you the whole conjugation, and there's a box on your photocopy where you're going to copy this down. So sentir, it looks like it's an IR verb, but it's conjugated like dormir and sortir. Remember those irregular verbs? They look like they're IR verbs, but they're not quite. Okay, so let's figure out how to conjugate sentir. And this means, by the way, to feel. So it's going to be je me sens. Je me sens. Tu te sens. You feel. Now you might be asking, what is this me and te? And we're going to get to that in 2 lessons from now. So we'll not talk about it quite yet, but just understand that it's je me sens for I feel, tu te sens for you feel, il se sent with the te, right? We know about that. Nous sentons, we feel. We feel tired after that game. Nous nous sentons fatigués. Vous sentez. All right, so I can ask somebody formally, vous vous sentez bien, Monsieur Obama? Vous vous sentez bien? Do you feel well? And finally, ils se sentent. They feel. Ils se sentent bien, ils se sentent mal, etc. So this is the verb se sentir. It's irregular, and we want to be sure we copy that into our box. The next box we have on that photocopy is the expression avoir mal. And this is actually in your book, but we'll explain it. Okay, you see the part on your photocopy where it has avoir mal and then a box? Okay, and what this is talking about is to express an ache or a pain in your body. The French use the expression avoir mal plus the body part. So we're going to use the expression avoir. Of course, we have to conjugate it, right? Plus the word mal, plus a form of a, plus, and I'm running out of room here, but the body part. That's the construction we want to use. So let's suppose I want to say I have a headache. So I'm going to have to talk about I, and then I have to conjugate the verb avoir, j'ai, then I use mal, then I have a, and then the body part, la tête. So we know that whenever we talk about a body part, or any noun, we always have to have the the article in front of it. J'ai mal à la tête. J'ai mal à la tête. I have a headache. All right, another one. Let's suppose I'm talking to my friend and I'm saying, oh, does your arm hurt? Does your arm hurt? So I'm going to say tu as, I have to conjugate avoir, mal à, and then how do I say arm? Le bras, le bras. Now what happens when a and le come together? Oh, tu as mal au bras. And I might want to make that a question. Tu as mal au bras? Does your arm hurt? You've been throwing softballs or baseballs all afternoon. Does your arm hurt? Tu as mal au bras? All right, let's suppose somebody has earaches. Both of their ears are really hurting. So I'm going to talk about he. So il, I have to conjugate avoir, a, mal, a, and then how do I talk about ears in the plural? Well, the word for ear is oreille, and I'm talking about the plural, so it's an S, and then I always have to have an article. So what article would go here? Not la. If it's plural, it's going to be les, right? Now, what happens with a plus les? It becomes o. Okay? So there are some examples. Let's do one more. I'm going to erase this one. Remember, you have a pause button, so if you need more time to write, don't forget to press the pause button. All right, how about if I wanted to say that I need something that starts with a vowel? Let's suppose my shoulder hurt. So, and I want to say that all of our shoulders hurt. So I'm going to use the word nous, conjugate avoir, avant, mal, à, and the word for shoulder, I'm going to run out of room here, l'épaule. And a plus l'apostrophe doesn't change. Okay, so because of the a, la, and the o, etc., you can see in your book that they don't say the construction is avoir mal plus a plus the body part. They say it's either o or a la or a avec un x or a l'apostrophe. They go ahead and make that change already. So either way you want to remember it. It's a plus the body part, but remember, when the body part has a le in front of it, the a, le has to become o. D'accord? All right, so those are two structures you want to be sure you know from page 278, how to conjugate the verb se sentir, which is used in the expression je me sens bien, and how to talk about body aches. Okay? All right, now we're going to practice some of these expressions. All right, we're going to do something called a dictée, a dictation. And so you got your photocopy, so on the back, you're going to practice writing some of these dictations. What a dictation is I'm going to say something in French, and you're going to write it exactly as you hear it. You're not answering the question, you're not translating it, you're writing it just like you hear it. Okay, so let's try one example. How about, vous avez mal au genou. Vous avez mal au genou. So pause, And here's the answer. Vous avez mal au genou. Okay, now you might have thought that genou is plural. You could do that. You wouldn't hear any difference. It's spelled the same way. And what does this mean? Your knee hurts, right? Vous avez mal au genou. All right, let's try a second type of sentence. Alors, nous sommes fatigués. Nous sommes fatigués. Nous sommes fatigués. Like that. Don't forget the S at the end because it's plural. Okay, alors numéro 3. Elle a un rhume. Elle a un rhume. So that is elle a un rhume. Voilà. Est-ce qu'elle est malade? Oui, elle est malade. Elle a un rhume. All right, let's try another one. How about mes amis ont la grippe? Mes amis ont la grippe. Mes amis, and remember, I hope you're pausing. It doesn't do you any good if you don't pause and practice this. Right? Mes amis ont, there's that verb avoir. You have to conjugate avoir. La grippe. Mes amis ont la grippe. My friends have the flu. D'accord? Okay, bien. All right, a couple more things. We're going to now practice the body parts because I want to be sure that you have somewhere on these videos the body parts in French. So I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but I'm going to point to, well, first of all, I'm going to point to myself. How about that? All right, so let's go through the parts of the body. This is les cheveux, la tête, les yeux, and if you have one of them, un œil, le nez, le visage, la bouche, les dents, une oreille, le cou, le bras, le poignet, la main, les doigts, l'épaule. I think that's all you can see on the camera, so I'm going to continue up here. Okay, so now we have le cœur qui bat, le cœur, le ventre, les jambes, le genou, la cheville, which is not printed on here, but la cheville, and then les pieds. Okay, so just be sure you know the pronunciation of that. All right, last thing we're going to do is I'm going to read a sentence and figure out if these sentences are true or false. Okay, vrai ou faux. Number 1. Est-ce qu'on mange, on mange avec les oreilles. On mange avec les oreilles. And you would write faux, false, because people do not eat with their ears. On mange avec les bouches, or la bouche. Okay, all right, number 2. And I'm not going to give you the answers. You're just going to write this down, and this is going to be what you're going to turn in. Number 2. On regarde la télé avec la bouche. On regarde la télé avec la bouche. Numéro 3. On fait du patinage avec les cheveux. On fait du patinage avec les cheveux. Numéro 4. On joue au tennis avec la main. On joue au tennis avec la main. Numéro 5. On écoute la radio avec les oreilles. On écoute la radio avec les oreilles. Bon. Okay? And the same thing, but not with body parts, but with other things. Quand on fait du foot, on court. Quand on fait du foot, on court. Number 7. Quand on fait de la natation, on court. Quand on fait de la natation, on court. Remember what I'm saying for on court? On means one or somebody. Court, court, to run. Voilà. Okay, and that was number 7. 8, 9, and 10 are going to be where you just answer the question. Okay? Alors, numéro 8. Est-ce que tu es en bonne forme? Est-ce que tu es en bonne forme? Numéro 9. Qu'est-ce que tu fais pour rester en bonne forme? Qu'est-ce que tu fais pour rester en bonne forme? Et numéro 10. Est-ce que tu as la grippe? Est-ce que tu as la grippe? Bon, ok, c'est tout. Au revoir.